The Drunkenness of Noah. Why did you marry him? The girl, who she guessed was probably one of the granddaughters, even one of the great-granddaughters, though she couldn't call to mind her name, looked speculatively at Noah, who was, now, his wife noted, lying diagonally on a slight grassy incline between the vines. It seemed so long ago. Her mind skidded backwards through dark tunnels in her head, down her throat, to some small, dark, secret place behind her ribs. A man turning to her, dirt smudged across his hand and his nose, a tenderness that folded. She blinked. "He grew vegetables," she said. The girl's eyes darted towards her crossly. "That can't be all." Noah's wife breathed in a pre-explaining breath and then breathed it out again. "It was a long time ago," she said. Noah had, by this point, pulled himself to his feet. Irritating, he swayed, walked heavily as though through sand. It was a long time ago, before the water and the wine, before angry the vessels had burst in his eyes, before they had clouded yellow with vagueness. She didn't often think about the time before. The ground was slippery there, think too much about those first meetings, and she'd slip into dark pools which it took days to struggle out of. In those days, men drew darkness round them like wings. She'd walked quickly, hands curled with fear. She'd heard steps behind her and hopelessly fashioned weapons from driftwood. She'd tried so hard to stop the crumbling into darkness. Noah had watched the violence with perplexity and taught her the names of plants. Cats trotted after him through the undergrowth. Now he was almost always drunk. Affable, he reached her, stumbled through a sentence full of forgotten words. His cheerfulness made her feel slightly homicidal. They had to be careful, though. Evenings were unpredictable. Some days he fell asleep heavily, his mouth open. Some evenings he said words that could not be taken back, words that changed things, and there was no helping it. When they had been in the boat, anxiety curled next to them with the animals. Every day there was water. Feet damp, she would feel in the darkness with her fingers for cracks, question the children marked with water where they had been, pull the laughter out of them with shouting fear. Now, she thought, it was the same. Sin found its way into their new world like water. Anger dripped. Violence seeped. The girl, she noticed, had seemed mystified by why she would have chosen him, and she hadn't even bothered to ask why God had. Noah's wife knew that the girl thought the past was just a story. Her life was myth now, even almost to herself. So God watched, exhausted, mourned for the inclinations of the human heart. Then, on a distant starlit evening, he poured himself out like water. But this time there would be no flood.